Welcome back to Rigged for Dirt, the only podcast recorded as the adventure happens. I'm Frank, here with
Ali,
and today we are out here at the Joshua Tree cleanup.
That's right. Who's it being put on by?
Put on by Roaming Lost and Lost Sasquatch.
Yeah, this is a very cool event. There are a lot of people out here. I was actually surprised. I thought it was going to be like you, me, and maybe like 5 other guys.
Yeah, no, there's like, I don't know, what, 40-ish? 50? No, more than that.
Yeah.
I think we had close to 100 actually RSVP, and I want to say like 90 showed up.
Right.
There's a lot of people out here. So, quick rundown on what we're doing out here is Roaming Lost and Lost Sasquatch back in December put together a big cleanup out here in Joshua Tree, which is on the Sunfair dry lake bed, and it was a total success, and this place was a total disaster, right? So we had about 45 rigs, and the community was like, how come we didn't know about this?
Right.
We would have totally joined you guys had we known there was this big cleanup going on. And so
sounds like somebody told him.
Right. So that gave Kingston from Roaming Lost kind of the idea to like, hey, we need to like legit organize something, right? Not just kind of throw something together because of the government shutdown. So he threw this together along with Lost Sasquatch. I pitched in a couple of goodies. So did SoCal Overland. And then the rest was just letting the world know that this was happening. Right. So then people from Orange County, San Diego, LA County, all over the place really showed up and represented. And now there's like, I don't know, 20 people huddled around a campfire telling stories about all the crap they hauled in today.
Right.
So
I have none of those stories.
That's right.
I came late.
You came late.
Yeah. What time did you get here, Eric? We're joined by Eric from American Overland on Instagram. You go check him out.
Yeah.
Very cool guy. I just did the Mojave Road with most of the Mojave Road with him and Brad. But I saw him here and I'm like, hey, you need to come on our show so we can talk to people about what you do and who you are.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
This event was a lot larger turnout than I would have expected. I was expecting a dozen rigs from friends I had camped with on the trail and friends from Instagram and social media, but the turnout is awesome. I actually saw a Tacoma dragging a car frame.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
You always get those chunks of things here, huh?
Someone had a car frame, and so this location, this dry lake bed, is right on the doorstep of Joshua Tree.
Right.
And on BLM land, apparently it's a shooting range here into a mountainside.
Right.
And that's allowed and legal.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the good stewards and outdoorsmen, like, you leave no trace. You can go out and shoot and have a good time, but bring back with you
the crap you brought out
that
here.
you take.
Exactly.
Right. They don't do that.
Yeah.
A lot of
them don't. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, I saw a entire car frame being dragged through the desert behind a Tacoma.
So I didn't see that in person, but I did see it in Instagram when I got back. And seriously, there's a dirt road then there's a bunch of dirt roads that kind of just spider out of the campsite, and he's legit dragging this thing with a rope, like behind the car, just down the dirt road, just this car frame. And that was one of the first things to go into this dumpster.
Yeah.
And cheers to the land management out here.
Yeah.
They provided 2 40-foot dumpsters. They indicated anything that didn't fit in the dumpster, please leave in a pile, and they would clean up. And they provided some porta-johns. So
that's fantastic.
Again, keeping it leave no trace out here, but they definitely supported the event with a budget and a plan.
Yeah.
So that was nice that it came together with community support, but also support from like the local.
Right.
That's nice.
Yeah. No,
and that's the Bureau of Land Management, the BLM, who kind of kicked in, right? I think it was Lost Sasquatch. Jordan is his name. We keep calling him by his Instagram handle. He called those guys, and they pitched in the 2 40-foot containers, right? These 2 40-foot dumpsters that are out here, and then, like you said, the 3 porta-johns, and the 2 40-foot containers are already full. just by today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In one
No
afternoon.
doubt.
Yeah, in one afternoon, we had, this army of people basically branch out. All these trucks came back full. People brought flatbed trailers, and they hauled crap all the way back here.
That's ridiculous.
And yeah, we filled 2 40-foot containers
It reminds
already.
me of when
and
we
we're
did
still
that-
going to go again tomorrow.
Yeah, it reminds me of hearing about the car frame when we did that Holy Gym cleanup.
Yes.
It's like there were like steel pipes. There was actually a full-on like destroyed truck on this like hill that was just like a suicide mission to try to climb up, and somebody like totally just wadded it up on that trail, and it just stayed there until it rusted, and people stripped it totally clean of everything, and they eventually took that off, but that was right. They took it down right before they K-rolled it all up. So,
Right. Yeah, that trail's now
yeah,
gone.
we talked about that. I think episode 1.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I unfortunately got here a little bit later after you guys had already kind of done the work. I just swooped in, won the first raffle,
won a raffle prize,
cooked some steak, and got some drinks. I'm sorry.
So we won't talk to you about the cleanup, but Eric,
Right.
how did your cleanup efforts go today?
My cleanup efforts were not hands-on.
Yeah.
I took some photos while I was here, and
so you were media.
I got here a little bit late in the afternoon.
You were
to do,
media.
Yeah,
Okay.
to do cleanup.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna get out tomorrow and get my hands
Get
in
your
on
hands
the
dirty,
cleanup. Yeah.
break a sweat. Yeah.
But I initially pulled up to the kind of shooting gallery area,
Right.
where the cleanup was taking place.
Totally.
And then they indicated to come over to sign in. And that's when I knew that this event was a lot more planned,
Right.
than I was originally thinking. It was going to be like a group cleanup, and we were going to haul out what we hauled in, and
Just high fives and trash
Right.
bags and
just kind
Instagram
of
posts.
haul out a couple tons of trash.
whatever you
but-
can fit in your trasharoo.
Right.
yeah,
Basically.
well, trasharoo and some people with some trailers, and pack it out and take it to the city dump that I
Sure.
passed on the way in. But no, this was a lot more coordinated.
Yeah, for sure.
But coming later in the day, I came and got a little bit of content.
Nice.
And I'm gonna get out and spend the day tomorrow cleaning up.
Because you do a lot of stuff on your Instagram account, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I take a lot of photos. I'd like to do a little bit more video this next year.
Sure.
And start doing some short videos. But photography is my comfortable place, and kind of capturing the moment of the adventure and the feel of the adventure.
Sure, and you do a great job of that. But it's funny, when I asked you to do the podcast with us, you just gave me that look like,
Okay, that was awesome. That's
like,
totally worth talking about.
wait, what?
Yeah.
And well, we can come back to the cleanup, but I think we covered it pretty well. I want.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey,
It was
Eric,
so good.
so you want to come and do a podcast with us? It'll be totally easy. Like,
And by the way, like, this is my first time meeting Eric. You
Right.
walked me over to introduce me to him, and then to ask him to be on
and
the
then
podcast.
just laid it in like, hey,
Right.
come on our show.
Right. And the look on your face was like, it's like we just told you that we kidnapped your puppy and had him for ransom, and you just had this blank look on your face, like you were like, you this is terrible.
Why would you do that?
Right, exactly.
I thought we just met.
What?
Why,
We just
what did I do to
met.
you?
Like, why are you so mean?
No,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's just hanging out, like talking,
Yeah,
As you
we
see.
had to talk him off the ledge and tell him, dude, we're just chilling, man. We're just sitting around a campfire, almost literally. This time we do have a campfire, because last time we did not.
Right. There's actually, we were surrounded by campfires, which is
Right.
pretty cool. If you can hear some of the background noise,
banter,
the
yeah.
music, or the people kind of just talking, like there are literally one massive fire pit to my left and another
Right.
one to my right, and just people hanging out.
And we're the way we set up tonight, and hopefully someone can get pictures of this, because we're just in the middle of like the tents and the camp area. We're not even like off to the side or
Right.
trying to be in a quiet place. We're just a table set up here in the middle, having a conversation amongst kind of the people.
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
awesome.
Just hanging out with friends. And granted, I would rather kind of be at the campfire, like how we
Yeah.
always say we want to be.
Right,
Like,
right.
But
It's a little
just
crowded.
a little bit too much, and people
And
are
they're
trying to have
having a good
conversations.
time,
They
right?
wanna,
We don't want to tell them to be quiet for
yeah,
our
we're like,
sake.
shh, quiet.
Yeah.
We're having a podcast, guys. No, it's we're just
So anyways,
chilling.
we keep kind of gravitating back to us. It's really about Eric, let's be honest.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
So I met you on the Mojave Road, which is as great a place as any to meet somebody for the first time. And it was kind of like one of those, one thing I've learned or kind of taken from this whole Overland experience is either I'm really, really lucky that the groups that I end up with are just amazing, or Overlanders just happen to be very welcoming and friendly. And I think there's probably a combination of the two.
Sure.
But I met you on the Mojave Road, and we did that the Trail Recon video. We were there with Brad, and we were also there with Josh and Chris from SoCal Ruby. Is that right?
Yeah, SoCal Ruby.
Yep.
And
Rob.
Yeah, Rob from Venture the Wild.
Right. And then
So you were on that snowy trip through the Mojave with him?
Yeah,
So
and that was the second time I've seen tufts of snow on top
Really?
of cactus.
Oh, he's like, it's gonna blow your mind. I'm like, what's
tomorrow.
gonna blow my mind?
Tomorrow when you wake up. He's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, you're going to wake up and they're going to be like Joshua trees, cacti.
With snow.
With tufts of snow on top. Like it's Christmas.
It was kind of mind blowing.
And it's literally going to make your mind melt.
Right.
You're going to have to stop and stare and take it in for a moment.
Yeah.
And then your brain just won't process
It won't
it.
process.
Like,
It's like,
this is not how it's supposed to be.
If you heard that, we're here with our families.
Yeah, we're
So
actually-
that was my. We're doing a podcast, buddy. I mean, that was my 5-year-old Ashton. Why don't you
Yeah.
go hang out with Mama real quick while I finish this up? But love you.
Okay, bye.
But that's the reality of where we're at.
Yeah.
This is literally hanging out with our family and
Yeah.
friends and doing this. But yeah, so blow your mind, and it did kind of. I was like, wow, my brain's not really computing the fact that there's snow on a cactus.
And you only get it for a few minutes. Like by noon that day, or by the
Yeah.
end of that
gone.
afternoon, that was gone.
Right.
And it won't happen again until the next little flurry. And people who are lucky enough to be there for that will get to witness it.
Was not even part of the agenda. It wasn't like on the itinerary. Nobody said, hey, we're going to go up to 5,000 feet and we're going to get snowed on and have a great photo op. Like that was just so awesome.
Camp Phallus.
Camp Palace of all
Yeah.
places.
We'll live in infamy.
Yeah.
For reasons
What did they call
that have
it?
nothing to do with its namesake.
Yeah, no. The reason why it will live in infamy has nothing to. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Marco got a good picture. Check out his Instagram.
Right.
He's like, nature can be so obscene.
Right.
And it's this truck with like the phallic rock in the background. It's if a picture had 1,000 words, Marco got it.
Marco captured it.
1,000.
Caption and
one.
all. He nailed it.
But yeah, first time meeting you. So you've got a pretty badass Jeep. And, it usually comes back to the rigs. But so what came first? Was it the Jeep or was it your love for like this kind of lifestyle?
Definitely the lifestyle.
Okay.
Yeah. So before the Jeep, I was a long distance hiker to get out and find my solitude and remote campsites and
Oh, wow.
scenes and objects that people just don't get to see. You've got to like work a little bit harder and
Sure.
To get out there.
yeah, and that kind of reduces the crowds. It thins out some of the people who aren't willing to put in the work. to
Yeah,
get
the
there.
barrier for entry is that much higher, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like a little gatekeeper to get
Yep.
out there, and so first it was like hiking and hiking trails and camping at locations that were more like, like ridgeline camping and places that people didn't want to camp and
Super primitive and
primitive.
no resources anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Well, aside from what's naturally there, right?
Yeah, or what
Yeah.
you brought with you. And
Yeah.
so, but those like little multi-day trails are hard to find and string together on the weekends. And
Sure,
I
sure.
found myself in between, I not in between jobs, but I quit my job
Okay.
to hike the Appalachian Trail when the career point was right. And so
Wow.
I walked my happy self from Georgia to Maine
Wow.
and did it in about 150 days.
Wow.
Taking every opportunity I could to take a 0 day to like play frisbee golf or like hit a local like putt course or whatever the local attraction was.
Sure.
I got off the trail in DC to watch fireworks in the Capitol and in New York just to go get a slice, like stay in New York for a couple of days with friends and get back on the trail and hike again. So
Like I swear I'm not homeless.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. I'm not homeless. I just don't have an address.
I just don't have that.
My only monthly reoccurring payment was my cell phone bill, so it was a different
Wow.
it was a different priority.
Yeah.
You're carrying everything. But
How old were you?
that was in 2013.
Okay, so not too long ago.
No, not too long ago at all.
Awesome. Dude,
So
I
you
envy
said
you for that.
you said you would try and well, you said something that kind of I had never heard before. A zero
zero
was
day?
0 day? Yeah, was that like just not
Oh,
hiking?
that's when you're gonna put in 0 miles.
So you're just not gonna hike. You're
Yeah.
gonna, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a,
you're-
it's like
you're-
a break or
Yeah. And so you can use the same term for overlanding, where it's like the style overlanding I do. People
Yeah.
are like, "Oh, do you run a dual battery kit? Do you use solar?" And I'm like, "I don't need to. My alternator is charging my single like
yeah.
Odyssey battery plenty enough to run what I do.
Yeah.
And I don't take 0 days at camp very often
Interesting.
with the
So
vehicle.
you're putting in miles, which means your alternator is
the
doing all the work,
alternator
so
is
you don't
going
have
to
to
charge
worry
the
about
battery faster than I can deplete it.
Totally.
Far and away.
Wow.
And so I don't really need too much in that respect.
Yeah.
If I do take a 0 day, like I'm at a campsite for
That's an interesting consideration.
an entire day, then I'll turn on the vehicle for like 30 minutes in the afternoon.
Sure,
But
that's an
power
interesting-
consumption and power storage or power creation, like a solar panel, and power storage are like, it's different for everyone.
Absolutely.
And the style that you drive or
Yeah, because some
the way
people
you want to adventure.
they do like to go out and then just kind of chill, right, for 3 or 4 days on a lake or wherever they're going.
Absolutely.
And in those
Yeah, your
situations,
destination locations are worth it. And
Right.
for that,
You
solar
need that, yeah.
or power storage like dual battery
Right,
is,
right.
is in your build for sure.
When you're hanging out for like 3+ days.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Sure.
But if your goal is to like, I'll
Make
cruise,
miles and just-
I'll cruise, make miles,
Yeah.
stop, I overnight. It's rare, but every now and then I'll do an entire day at one stop without moving. And on those days, I'll start the vehicle midday for a half hour, and that's enough.
that's enough. Wow.
That's cool. Yeah, it's interesting. There's another podcast I listen to, which is the Fieldcraft Survival podcast by Mike Lever.
Yeah.
And he did a really interesting piece where he, I think he's out of Arizona, and he headed up north to Canada with one, and the whole goal for his Go Rig challenge that he was doing was no support, no stops, and he just headed straight north.
Oh, wow.
And one of the takeaways I got from that was how lean he runs on the stuff that he takes. And hearing you talk about like, yeah, I don't need solar. I have a single battery. Like, you're pretty lightweight in that regard.
Absolutely.
I try and kind of take with me the mentality I had in long distance backpacking.
That's cool.
Into overlanding. And so if it goes out with me on a couple of trips and it's not needed or not used,
Right.
I revisit whether or not that item has a spot in my kit. Of course, that doesn't have anything to do with recovery or medical.
Sure.
That stuff always has a spot in your kit.
But if it doesn't spark joy, just throw it away.
Exactly. Hey, Maria Kondo is coming right into your overland lifestyle.
awesome.
She's all, it doesn't spark joy, throw it away.
Exactly. But
That's awesome.
If you don't know that reference, it's feng shui, kind of minimalist, like living. She comes in. What's her name again?
Marie Kondo.
Kondo,
Yeah.
Yeah.
She comes in, just throws all your shit away.
Yeah, basically.
Does this not bring you joy? It's out.
So I don't know if you guys have seen this,
She
but
makes
there's
you throw your own stuff away.
Basically.
She like tricks you into
She doesn't want the
doing it yourself.
liability.
Have you seen the
Good
faces,
idea.
the faces on people when she tells them that you're gonna throw all this stuff away, and they're just like, you know what they do? They give her the same look you gave us when you told, when we told you to do this
That's so
podcast.
funny.
What are you talking about?
Right.
I have nothing to do with that.
So there's this lady who on I think it was on Facebook, but she narrated this whole like basically the intro to her book, where she explains her position and why she does what she does, and how and then she goes further and explains how
This is some other lady.
This is some other lady.
Okay.
Right, but she's got a very heavy accent.
She's reading Kondo's book?
Yes.
Okay.
And so she's reading like this whole like blurb, or she's reading a statement. Sorry, she's reading a statement, and it's a reaction statement to how the American backlash to her position. They're like, no, we have stuff, we accumulate stuff. What are you talking about? And you have to Google it and you have to listen to it, because now that you've heard this, that is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like it's
so funny.
it'll be the perfect add-on to this podcast.
Marie Kondo rides with Eric.
Yeah. I can only imagine overlanders listening to her.
Yeah, I need to listen to her.
On the next episode,
I want to see.
we Kondo our rigs. Hey, I loved your picture of your exploded.
Oh, dude, yeah.
That was a great idea because
So-
that's, from a backpacker's point of view, that's like a common thing. People want to see what's in your kit.
Yeah, they
see
want to
what's
know,
in
like,
your
what are you
pack.
taking?
And I think from an Instagram, like, there's only so much you can do in a picture, but in a photo like that, like,
Yeah.
you can really show people.
It
Like,
does
you
speak.
even pulled out the fridge freezer and like opened up the lid, and like, I just love the way you styled that photo. I think that was really creative, and
I love the fact that he was laying in it. It was like
it was perfect. It
really was.
adds perspective.
It was
And
totally
perspective. Part of the Jeep is in it.
Right,
Everything
yeah.
about that photo was done, I think, just right. It was,
Thanks.
it was
Yeah, I did-
artistic and like it showed people a lot in one image.
I did it only because my vehicle after Tierra del Sol had a 1/4 inch of dust on everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
mine still does.
Everything. I
Mine
mean, yeah,
is-
mine's.
yeah.
I'm not saying I got it all
I
out.
haven't been able to clean it.
I'm just saying I had to take all this stuff out.
It is insane, man.
And as I was
After-
taking it out, I'm like, well, shit, this would be an awesome
Opportunity.
loadout. Yeah,
Yeah.
so opportunity. So I just put in an extra like couple hours and laid everything out, and it was nice because then it got all organized. Like, probably the best thing I could have done for myself is just lay it out, get it organized. But it didn't make for a bad piece either. It ended up being like one of the more popular shots for 511 Tactical Social.
Totally
Cool.
Which
It
is
was
really
popular
cool.
for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah,
I reposted it on our Instagram,
Oh,
and
yeah?
it was totally popular.
I
Yeah, it was
didn't
awesome.
even look at.
Yeah.
yeah, awesome. I'm stoked that people like that. And you know, somebody asked me, they're like, "So do you use all of that?" And I'm like, "Well, I use a little over half of that, but the stuff that I don't use are the things that I hope I don't have to use." And
Right.
that's kind of like my knee-jerk reaction to like kind of my experience getting into this, which was like in disaster. So I tend to have a lot of gear that you just don't need, like solar power. Like I've got like so many extra things, but it's all for the sake of like I never want to be caught with my pants down again,
Right.
especially with the family. So I tend to go to the nth level now, and I need to dial it back, and I will. But for now, like if you look at that loadout, like you're like, oh shit, there's like everything there.
Right, and
Yeah.
I get that because it's you don't want to be stranded.
Right.
You need to have the gear, and
I've
I
been
go
stranded,
out and
and it sucks.
I go out alone a lot,
Yeah.
which is not advisable. But I do feel like I bring with me the tools to self-rescue,
Right.
and I feel like that's important.
And you also come from a different background, though, right? Like, I think like most people that are into overlanding don't come from the specific background that you do, where you've been kind of on your own and kind of
Yeah, it's a different perspective for sure.
backcountry by yourself. So you have
wilderness oriented
Totally.
for long distance,
Totally.
or long term periods where like
Into the woods.
doing daily hikes of 20 miles was
Right.
my
Wow.
life for 150 days.
That's awesome.
right.
But I think after that, and then getting back into the, I quit my job to do that, knowing that it was the right time in my career to take a move and then get back, put my resume back out there and get back into the working world.
Probably
when I
didn't
was
hurt your
done.
resume either with the
Yeah,
industry
doing
you're
some-
in. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did exactly that, and then after the trail, got back into the working world and the professional. I'm a product developer, and still wanting that feeling on the weekends in my
Right.
free time of having that remote nature solitude. That's kind of what got me more into overlanding.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it was my way of having camping and campfire conversations with
Right.
friends, just like being surrounded by nothing other than like a few friends, nature, and the location that you chose,
Totally.
and
Did
whatever weather.
Did you kind of miss having people around after so much time on your own? I mean, it's like your own on your own.
It was
all the
actually
time,
it was
right?
actually kind of weird, like going into cities. Like I said, like when taking a 0 day in DC
Uh-huh.
or taking a 0 day in New York, seeing a lot of people when you've not seen people for a long time was actually kind of not overwhelming, but like surprising.
Right.
You're just like, oh, all these people are going about their like daily.
Was it alien to you? Like you
It just-
go from
it just-
nature and then you see this like concrete jungle and you're like,
You know what? When I was on the AT, it rained 4 to 5 days a week, and I still have a
Wow.
very vivid memory where the most joy, like honest, like in your heart, the most happiness you could attain
yeah,
was the feeling that everything I own is dry. And that's a weird thing to say, but when you live in a condition where everything you own is wet, all of a sudden your priorities change.
Absolutely.
Right.
And you might want to put in 20 miles of hiking one day to get your mile marker in and keep the path, like
keep your pace, right?
Keep your progress, keep the path going.
Yeah.
But if you come to a clearing and it's sunny,
Right.
and you're carrying a couple pounds of wet gear and you're just like, absolutely, I will sacrifice making miles today. And all of a sudden, like, there's a couple of like 550 paracord lines up, and you're drying out everything you own, and you're just kicking back and like, you know what?
Life is good.
When you leave that spot and everything you own is dry,
Right.
you just have this like lightness to your step and this joy, like the smile that can't be wiped off your face.
Yeah, it's
And
totally like
it's-
being warm and dry at the same time. Right,
It's
like
just
fresh
one of
laundry
these-
almost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of these things, and you have to be in that condition for long enough for that to be your new norm. But
To find that blissful, right?
to really find bliss in that
Yeah.
and not find it annoying. But I try and hold on to that same kind of like moment where it's just like everything's temporary.
Yeah.
It's like you get wet for a little bit, whatever. You've got a dry pair of clothes close by.
Right.
And so, but same thing with the loadout in the vehicle. If I find myself not using something, but then again, I find joy in different types of, like last time you cooked for me, you did skewers over the campfire.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I enjoy cooking that way. I enjoy cooking over the scuttle. I enjoy cooking on cast iron, or just with like, go out with nothing other than a roll of foil.
Right.
What?
Like,
Yeah.
it's good to have like skills that challenge you, and it's like,
Just
all
wrap
right,
it up and throw it in the fire.
hey, you can wrap things, you can
Yeah.
make little foil boats, you can make steam ovens.
Wow.
Like, you can do things. It's just poke some holes in foil and wrap some things, and so it's good to, I play with different types of cooking and different ways of experiencing the outdoors. If it's cooking directly over fire,
Right.
or if fires are not allowed at certain times of year for fire risk.
Sure.
You're going, like a little propane stove, and you can make your berry cobbler another way.
Right. It's a whole different kind of style to it. And one thing I've kind of noticed about overlanding, now that you bring up food, is like how open and giving everyone is with their food, with each other.
Yeah,
And
it's very
familial.
familial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I
Yeah.
agree.
There's a
Yeah,
strong communal piece to this whole overlanding.
There really is. The community itself, once you get in, like it's
I feel like when you see someone out on the trail, it's one of those things that you're kind of like already family. Like, oh,
Yeah.
you're out here too?
Yep.
We already have something in common.
Right.
And it's almost like, what else do we have in common?
Yeah. I mean,
So
like,
you kind of approach people with like this, already you're on the same ground, which is nice. I wish people approach themselves, like other people, that way.
you're not going to be like a total douchebag.
we're all here together.
Right. You're not going to be
Right.
a total douchebag and like fix up your rig, get a tent. And I'm sure those guys are out there, like, and whoever you are, I hope I never meet you. But it's like, for the most part, like, everyone's like got this like love of either wheeling or just being outdoors, like at the very minimal, just being outdoors.
Yeah.
And that already like gives you such a huge common ground with somebody, because in this world of like how fast this world works and how fast like things are during the day, and like you're at work and and that whole rat race and like playing Survivor daily, like, where, you're fighting for your job or whatever it is that you're doing
Right.
on your day to day, just paying your bills, when you come out here, everyone else is just trying to find that kind of peace and that kind of like, just that joy, right? That just enjoyment of being under the stars, hanging out, eating some good food,
yeah.
having the warmth of a fire, having the warmth of like your loved ones in the tent with you, like whatever it is, like we're kind of all on that same path. And so it's kind of like, I come from the CrossFit community.
Yeah.
And so like when you go to a CrossFit gym, everybody's like brothers
pretty
and
similar.
sisters.
Yeah, it's pretty similar.
You're going through something together.
Yeah.
Like when we were on the trail,
Brings people together.
yeah, there's a lot of shit that happens on the trail. Like Marco blew a tire, or you busted, what was that? One of your links, right? Like,
Yeah, sway bar Lincoln snapped off from the high steer bracket on the front axle.
yeah, like you're going through shit and you're all coming together to fix it. Like even if no one can help, everyone's just there. Like you build these memories, So
And I think that's like important for
bonding.
a lot of people, because I think a lot of people like see overlanding and they think it's far away from what they can attain.
Sure.
Right.
And I think it's not. I think a lot of like 4x4s and a lot of like, I mean, out here at this event today, we've got like 15, 20 Subarus.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's great to see like all different types of vehicles out here, highly modified, not modified at all.
Sure.
Right.
And it's
all
you don't
levels.
You don't need all of these like fridge freezers and crazy lights and all this stuff. It's really nice to have,
Sure,
and it
yeah.
makes it safer and more enjoyable for me. My goal is to have the vehicle loaded up and ready to go, where all I need to do is add food, beverage,
Right.
clothing,
Yep.
and a destination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's ready.
Yep.
And so that makes it super attainable for me to get out of town at a moment's notice.
Right.
As soon as a friend gives me an opportunity, the level of planning is minimal.
No, I totally feel you.
And so that's what I'm building for. But it's not like you need to have a dedicated rig. A regular vehicle, a regular 4x4.
And we've all done
You can
it.
get out to
Yeah.
these great campsites, have the same experience. It doesn't need to be a dedicated vehicle.
Your tank
like-
could be on the ground.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My tent was on the ground for over 150 days on the AT.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't experience a rooftop tent until I got into vehicle dependent travel.
Right.
But that was strictly so I could like go out on the weekends and still get out there.
Yeah.
Still get remote.
And I do think people underestimate the capability of their vehicles.
I think so.
Because especially in this kind of scenario or this setting, I get people that come up to me now that I'm kind of more involved in the community, and they come to me for advice at times, and they say, hey, I want to do suspension, I want to do this, I want to do that.
What would your
You
first
know?
recommendation be for?
Dude,
I know exactly what my first
That's
recommendation
my
would
FJ
be.
Cruiser right there. It's bone stock.
My first recommendation for
I'm not-
someone would be an air compressor.
And I have one. Absolutely. You're totally right. That was the first thing I bought.
I would say before suspension
That's
and
the
before
first thing I
anything,
bought.
Just air
I
down.
would say
You're
air
100
down.
You're
There you go.
100% right.
I would just be like, dude,
Because-
get yourself a 12-volt air compressor that doesn't overheat before it can fill up
Totally.
all four of your tires.
That was one of the. And the second thing I
figure out
bought.
how to air down your tires.
And the second thing I bought was a puncture kit.
And that would be
Right.
Once you own an air compressor, now you don't need to rely on your spare.
Right.
As the only, it's
Right.
spares only for catastrophic
Worst
tire
case
failure.
scenario. Exactly. And
Otherwise,
so-
you puncture and you keep moving.
And so my point is that
Yeah.
like the suspension on that FJ Cruiser is bone stock. I mean, I've added a roof rack, I've added supplies,
Right.
and other things like that. But the suspension and the main and the drivetrain and the wheels, even the tires, they're all stock size, right? And so my point is that I've gone on dozens of trips with all these guys, right, and had a great time doing all these trails, going to all these adventures, and having all this fun. Bone stock, and
Right.
it's people put up their own barriers and they think that you've got to be this and you've got to be that,
And that's what it
you
needs
really
to
don't.
be like. Exactly.
It, you know what? So you got to be a little better driver. Admittedly, you got to pick your line, but I think that's a healthy, natural progression that people should take.
I think so. And driver IQ can't be learned from the passenger seat. And
Absolutely.
I off-road
Right.
with my girlfriend, Jen, and
Who's
I
awesome.
get her
She's so cool.
I get her behind the wheel more and more, and she's off-roading in the snow, and the vehicle is sliding
Yeah.
based on the tilt on the road. And
Absolutely.
of course it is, and it's scaring her. And I'm just like, honey, like this is
Par for the course.
part of the course. Like
Right.
this is part of driver IQ. Like you
Yeah.
need to drive this. She's like, no, you get in the driver's seat, and I'm like, no, like. You gotta push through this and like learn how it feels
and
like,
learn how to be
there's-
comfortable, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, we're not on a shelf. We're not on a shelf road. Like your margin for error here is, nothing bad's gonna happen.
Right,
Like,
you have
you're
a
just
wide
gonna slide
margin.
around a little bit, and it's gonna feel a little bit weird. But this is a great opportunity to see how it feels. There's no way to learn that from the passenger
Right,
seat.
and driver
you have to
IQ
see, and driver IQ, and reading a line and choosing the correct line for
Right.
your
Absolutely.
wheelbase, ground height clearance.
Yep.
Where your differential low points are on the axles.
Which
The
is
more
a bigger
technical
deal.
it gets, the more driver IQ you need. But
Sure.
every scenario is different. And for a new driver, the inclination is usually when mud gets thick or sand gets deep and the vehicle starts to sink, they let off the gas. Whereas like a driver that knows better, like punches the skinny pedal and pushes through the deep section until they're on solid ground.
Right, because
you don't want to get stuck down the axles.
Right, you've got to keep the
momentum.
momentum.
At that point, you're just stuck. Like,
right.
If you couldn't glide through it, you're not going to be able to accelerate from a dead stop.
Right. You got to think you've turned from a vehicle into a boat. Like, you just got to keep the throttle on, get through the deep end, and come out on the other side.
Exactly. And so there's certain things that need to be just learned, and you get out there and you learn the limitations of your vehicle.
Yeah.
Right. Be it a stock vehicle or a highly modified one.
And you learn how it reacts, right, to things, right? You learn how your vehicle reacts to certain conditions, whether it's off camber or it's little drop-offs or snow. Right, you learn kind of how your vehicle, because every single one's going to handle differently, right? Whether it's a full-size truck or a Jeep or something else, you kind of start to learn I guess, for lack of better words, kind of the body English of your vehicle.
I think that's where you start to appreciate modifications.
Yeah, you're totally right.
And once you start to learn how your vehicle handles and where it excels and where it's limited is where you start yearning for better.
Yeah, and
or
that's exactly,
improvement, or I wish this was a little, softer on the rebound. Or I wish I had more up travel so I could travel at a higher rate of speed without hitting my bump stop. But every yin has its yang.
Exactly.
Then the vehicle has a higher center of gravity, and your roll center is higher.
And I think you also learn what kind of traveler you are and what your demands are, like you're saying earlier.
Absolutely. You have to have, I think it's really important at the beginning of any build, an idea of what it is you want from the build.
Yeah.
I knew going into my Jeep build, my goal was 2 people, 7 days, 500 miles.
Yeah.
It was going to be a heavy overland rig, big springs, not necessarily the rock crawler you see, but I wanted it to do extreme overlanding.
Sure.
Hard trails, but also roof rack, rooftop tent, extra fuel, extra water, 2 people, provisions. My dog is the weight of a person.
Sam.
Yeah. Who's awesome.
Yeah.
So I went into the build knowing 2 people, 7 days, 500 miles. This is my goal parameter. And so every modification I did had to be put through that. And so I started with 35-inch tires and 3.5 inches of lift. And I took that time to build up the axles, the brakes, the steering, the brake lines, ball joints, sleeves, gussets. And then when I was ready, and the tires were bald, then I went to 37s and 4.5-inch springs.
Nice.
But at that point, everything had been done except for the gearing. And then that's when I added extra power after all of the safety precautions were taken care of first. Because a lot of people are like, oh, you need gears for 37s. No, not really. What you need is the ability to stop if someone cuts you off in Southern California traffic. Or you need steering on the trail. So I did a PSC big gear steering box, and I did sleeves and C-gussets and ball joints on the axles, built up the brakes with big Terraflex brakes. And then the last thing I did was re-gear and add power back. It was more important to stop and steer than it is to press the skinny pedal and go faster.
You guys kind of had a gearing party. It was you, Marco,
we did.
and Brad.
We all went to 488s at the same time.
At Rebel, right?
Yeah.
Rebel Off-Road.
So we asked Rebel to do all 3 vehicles at the same time. Revolution, gear, and axle hooked it up.
They deserve it. They're good dudes over there.
Yeah. We thought it was too many vehicles in one day, and it was not.
Really? They did it all in one day?
Oh, easy.
Get out of here.
Easy. We were all out by noon.
What?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
They're amazing.
Yeah, they're good dudes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So one of the things, kind of going back just for a brief moment, because I think this is really relevant to listeners who might be finding this for the first time and getting into overlanding, is one of the most frustrating comments that you're going to come across is, as a new person getting into overlanding, you're going to have a ton of questions, right? And you're going to post those questions. I see this all the time on Facebook groups and forums, Go
watch Brad's videos.
I want to do this. What should I do?
Right.
What should I get? And everyone always answers, well, what do you want to do? What are you going to do with it? Where do you want to go?
And they don't even know.
And they don't know. And that's frustrating because you're answering a question with a question, right? So people get frustrated. I know I did when I asked that question. But if you've learned anything from this current conversation on this podcast, it's that go out and do things, and you'll learn. You'll learn your limitations. It's what I did. It's why my FJ is stock a year later. But
Sure.
and sure, I'm gonna add stuff, and it's gonna get a lift, it's gonna get suspension and whatnot. But now that I'm doing it a year later, I am 100% confident in the parts that I chose for the FJ. I don't have to go into a forum and go, hey guys, what do you think about my decision for this?
Because you built it up over time.
I've built it up over time and experience. Right?
I think it's as important to know what you want as it is to know what you don't want.
100%.
And there's the only way to learn what it is that works for you is to figure out like what works, what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And when you're at events on the trail, people are so not just like accommodating. I think most people are enthusiastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
To talk about their rigs, talk about what works, talk about what doesn't work.
Again, like CrossFit.
It's
First rule of CrossFit is you talk about CrossFit. Right. First rule of Overlanding, talk all about Overlanding.
I will say though, I'm happy that we've gotten into 5 episodes without talking about CrossFit. This is the first time. So
hey, it's bound to happen. It's bound to happen. Granted, I haven't really been to the gym at all, so I don't even call myself a CrossFitter.
CrossFit and Overlanding.
Call myself CrossFat.
CrossFit and Overlanding do like overlap when there's tire changes needed.
Right?
Yeah.
37 swinging those things around.
Yeah. I'm about to put 38s on my Jeep. Dude, if I ever need a tire pulled off of my carrier, I'm definitely going to call in a CrossFit expert.
Stupid.
Come on, hey, bro, come here. You do this for fun.
Dude,
come here.
You lift,
exactly.
Lift this.
This has a dead weight of 114 pounds.
I need you to deadlift this tire, please.
Around for me?
CrossFit.
Worst kind of weight, rotational mass. Second worst kind of weight, unsprung mass. Least worst kind of weight, weight on top of the springs.
So now that we've got
there's one thing though.
Go for it.
So you did a lot of stuff, but I happen to know that there's some other stuff coming. I saw a box with your name on it at John's shop. We don't have to talk about it. I'm just saying there's some more stuff coming.
No, that has to do with the 38s that I was just mentioning.
Yeah.
The American Overland rig is going on long arm kit from Terraflex.
Sick.
With some Falcon shocks.
Oh my god. Yeah, so
I'm super excited.
You're moving up a level. You've leveled up.
Big time.
Dialing it up a notch.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, this rig has been overlanded from day one. And it's,
a lot of miles.
It's coming up on 75,000 miles.
Wow.
So
heavy trail use.
The original shocks are tired. It's a little bit spongier than it should be. So
Sure.
either way, refreshing the shocks is needed at this point.
Yep.
Which is like kind of shocks tend to get tired around 80,000, or at least need revalved and refreshed. But,
Okay.
So just going to an all new shock is going to be awesome. And being 4.5 inches up on coils, the long control arms will push the axles out, giving you a better angle, a caster angle, pinion angle to the axles, and make the vehicle feel more balanced.
Okay, cool.
And that'll be good on the highway and on the rocks.
Yeah, that's exciting, dude.
Usually you think of
it.
long arms as like a rock crawler thing.
Yeah.
Right.
It can really, really add a lot of balance to like a larger Overland style build that's just heavy and is rolling big tires. So
Dude, that's awesome. We need a jingle for every one of these, like the more you know moments.
Yeah.
Like we need like a
you're
little
right.
jingle that just like flashes
You're right.
across
I'm
your
wondering
ears.
if someone listening has that kind of talent that can put something like that together.
The more you
So-
know.
Yeah, right?
Someone's got one of those little audio boards.
Yeah, right. Kind of like when you hear on a morning show, and they do a plug, and you hear the ding, right?
Exactly.
You hear the ding, ding. We need something like that, but something unique to us,
Right.
right? That every time someone gives drops a bit of knowledge.
Because we've been fortunate to hang with some pretty knowledgeable people in this.
Absolutely.
in this
They're
field.
way above
So
my league.
I think actually this is the second time we've brought somebody on the show.
Yeah.
Last time was with John.
Yep.
And Tony
Yep.
and from Romer with Troy. But now with Eric, like I see this as a trend. Like we will probably get some good information going here.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the goal, right? And from that we set out from the beginning is we said, look, we're not experts. We're not going to claim to be experts, right? But and we're getting back into this as adults, and we went this whole dialogue in episode 1, right, about discussing how we're getting back into it and the reasons why, but we wanted people that were listening to this to kind of come along for the ride, right, to be part of that journey, right, as we, sit around campfires, talk to people that have done this or done that, and kind of learn from each other, right? Learn from other people's mistakes,
sure,
right? Or get bits of nuggets that say, hey, don't be frustrated about the fact that you don't know what you want right now, right? Go out and do it, and it'll come. Like you'll start making decisions and things. Like, for example, right, going back to Marie Kondo, right, just for a brief second.
Who would have thought?
Right.
That would have been the theme of this episode.
I know, right?
Yeah, hey, that's going to be the name of this episode.
Kondo.
Hey,
you already stole my... Yeah.
Kondo, you're rig.
So going back to her for a brief second, because when I started overlanding...
sued.
Yeah, right? She's going to want royalties.
We're going to bleep every one of those condos out.
Right, condos.
Yeah. Hey, right back to the soundboard.
Condo. That's just 3 weeks right there.
Maybe that's our
this
soundboard.
Is another help wanted ad for a soundboard guy.
Yeah.
We'll drop a condo every time someone makes a good suggestion.
Condo.
Right? So anyways, I'm not making fun of her. Big
We've
respect.
just coined a phrase. Every time we do a learning moment, it's like condo. Stupid.
It's a verb, not a noun.
It's a verb.
I'm sure that has nothing to do with the bottle of
She just got
Glenlivet
Xeroxed.
sitting on the table.
Yeah, that actually, speaking of that bottle.
Well, hold on, because I want to finish this
Empty
one thought.
bottle.
I want to,
Empty,
almost
poor
empty, yeah.
bottle. No, it's empty.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's
okay.
fine. All right,
So I
go
want to
ahead.
finish
your
this thought,
point because
right?
I want to talk about this bottle.
So my point was that when I started doing this, I had an F-150, right? And
What?
so it was before I knew you. Yeah, I had a
Frank and an F-150.
Yeah, I had a brand new 2016
Frank
F-150. Yeah.
Oh, dude. Now
so-
it would have been Frank 150 on Instagram.
Right.
That's what it would have been.
That should have been, huh? It wasn't, but that should have been. But my point is that, you know what I did? I had so much room. I put everything in the kitchen sink in that thing.
Yeah.
Like, I loaded the whole bed. Dude, I had stuff that I wouldn't even use ever. It's been in my garage for years, and for some reason I thought I would need it on this trip anyway, right? And so it almost gave me anxiety to not bring the stuff.
Right. Yeah. I feel
Right? So that to me was... Through experience, I did exactly what you said. Did I use it? No. Do I think I'm ever going to use it? Probably not. It's going to stay at home this time, and I'm going to get over my anxiety.
You need to use it.
Yeah, I'm going to get over my anxiety of going anywhere without this stuff. And sure enough, I've pared down my gear from literally probably to a third of what I started with.
Yeah. And I'm a big fan of compartmentalizing gear. So it's I'll keep my air down recovery gear
I do
together.
Exactly that. Yep.
And I'll keep my tools together.
Yep.
And then I'll keep my camp chair tables together.
Yep.
And so when I'm ready to go on a trip, I can kind of look at a wall of gear.
Yeah.
And based on the terrain I know I'm going into and the opportunities I know that are in front of me, you can choose the right gear.
Totally.
That's kind of.
I'm not going to bring my kite if I don't think it's going to be windy.
Bring my kite.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's everyone wants what campsite are you at? You'll see a large
That's
manta
awesome.
ray flying in the sky.
Awesome.
I'm dying right now.
You're in the middle of Big Bear.
Dude, it's giant. I'm seeing Eric flying on giant manta ray and big old smile on his face.
Ocean creature in the sky.
Right.
My-
So now I think the bottle of Glenlivet is talking.
Sure. On my end, I went so heavy into that knee jerk where I've got everything and I'm still not there yet where I'm comfortable leaving a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to hear from Eric, who's done it for so long and figured this out along the way. I feel like I'm still coming. So I was super fortunate. I was able to build an amazing rig for an event that I wasn't even intending to attend in a very short period of time, and then get everything I've always wanted. But I did it without that learning curve. So I did it from 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah.
Versus Eric, who kind of crawled and then walked and now is running. I just started sprinting, and I'm lucky because what I would recommend to anyone is if you're really going to go for it and you're going to get into it, do just a ton of research. So I was on every forum I could find. I was following people on Instagram. And then of course I was talking to companies directly. So I was getting a lot of information firsthand like from Icon or Casey or whomever, and really just put that initial work in. But still, when I kind of look at my rig and I feel how she handles sometimes, I'm like, man, it just feels heavy.
You probably would have done things a little bit differently, right?
Oh,
you had
so
the experience.
Eric said something about not even knowing what you didn't need or something to that effect. I think was said, and
you don't know what you need. You don't know what you don't need until you get out there.
I didn't know what I don't need
for yourself, and everyone's gonna have a different version of what's important to them.
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
Kondo.
I am Kondo.
What brings you joy?
I am just now learning. Here's actually what I need. After that loadout.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I think she's onto something, man. She's a smart woman, because this is making a lot of sense to me now.
But I gotta condo my shit out.
You do?
Like flat out. I'm realizing now. When I first jumped into it, it's like, all right, steal everything. Now I'm thinking, well, I'm not hardcore crawling, so I could have gone with aluminum. I did think about it. I thought about aluminum, but I'm like, well, I don't want it to tear and then puncture stuff.
Sure.
Which is the reason why I kind of went against it. Steel just tends to deform versus aluminum. Just
it's pliable, right?
It's breaks and whatever.
Aluminum's brittle. Steel's pliable.
Aluminum and skid plates tends to hang up on rocks.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. So I'm like, but now I'm like, okay, well, I kind of understand how I'm driving and what I'm wanting to do. And it's not even willing to do, but it's just wanting to do. And it's like, it doesn't really involve the kind of things that aluminum would prevent me from doing.
Sure.
So if I was to do it over again, I would have gone aluminum fenders all the way around.
Yeah. So I went steel at first.
Yeah.
My front bumper was a Poison Spider.
Okay.
And it was well over 100 pounds with a skid plate.
Right.
Without the winch. Just the mid-width bumper and skid, over 100 pounds. But it's beefy, steel, strong.
Right. Like my Evo stuff, it's the same way.
But my rig started feeling really heavy. And that's why I started researching how I could shave weight off.
Sure.
And where I found the biggest savings was
aluminum.
Was bumpers and was aluminum.
What are they?
I'm running the pronghorn bumper.
Okay. How much does that weigh compared
42 pounds.
Get out of here.
So what did the steel version weigh?
With the rotator shackle mount, the 42-pound aluminum bumper has been tested at a 45,000 pound 90-degree side pull.
Wow.
They stopped testing it at that point.
That's awesome. Ridiculous.
You're not going to no winch can there's no winch and pulley system that's going to generate more than a 45,000 pound 90-degree side pull on the bumper.
Sure.
So even though it's aluminum and it's 40 pounds compared to 100-pound steel.
So 100 pounds on a steel side?
The steel version of the bumper was well over over
100, right? Yeah.
Yeah, well over 100 pounds. It was like 108, 110 pounds.
I mean, they're pretty hefty. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah. That's pretty.
Especially with a stinger, you put a stinger on it.
The more width or stinger, or I had the. I had the skid plate on it too.
So exactly right. I mean,
I need to protect that Rubicon sway bar disconnect motor.
Sure, the electronic system.
Yeah,
for sure.
I don't want to bash that on a rock
But I mean, to your point,
more expensive than the $200 skid plate.
Sure,
I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I would have gone aluminum.
But I went from steel to aluminum, and my front end raised so much that I actually had to put spacers on the rear springs to level out the vehicle.
Because it was so heavy.
Because the front
it was so light.
Was so much lighter.
Oh wow.
With that pronghorn bumper on.
Did you have a steel bumper on the rear?
The rear had never gotten a bumper yet.
Actually, yeah, that's right. I noticed that today.
Yeah, that's one of the coolest things about
it's actually like bumperless.
That's one of the coolest things about the pronghorn bumper is that they've got these connection points that allow for a winch mount system.
Okay.
Where instead of your winch being permanently mounted to the front bumper, you can mount it in a case and switch it from the front bumper to the rear bumper.
Whoa.
How does it
that way
work on
you
a
can
disconnect?
either rescue the vehicle behind you,
dude,
without rotating your vehicle if you're on a shelf road.
That's ridiculous.
Or you can rescue your own self from the direction you came.
And it sits pretty low. I can see it from here.
Yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
It will. The bumpers are the rear bumper is finishing up development right now.
But that's the front bumper that's on right now.
Yeah, the front bumper, the first generation
That's
front bumper's
pretty rad.
on right now.
Yeah.
So the gear mount winch case from Pronghorn is going to be kind of revolutionary in that respect. It's going to allow you to move the one winch either from vehicle to vehicle if you have multiple vehicles equipped with the same Pronghorn bumper, and they're going to do multiple platforms for
doubt.
Tacoma, 4Runner.
Oh man, you know what kind of savings
Jeep,
that's going
JL.
to be?
And so you could run like a JK and a JL if you're a
That's
Jeep
really
owner,
interesting.
and have one Warren winch and just
Oh,
move it from
dude.
the gear mount
So
case.
if your
from-
wife has the JL, you have the JK.
Well, I mean, I'm
you could
looking
just
at this.
and then you can also mount the winch
your buddy?
inside the vehicle if you don't want it sitting out on the bumper.
wait, you can mount what?
The winch inside
Inside
the
the
vehicle.
vehicle.
You just keep it
The
in there.
winch-
You don't need to keep it out on the outside, right?
Exactly.
But you're
Yeah.
saying you can mount it and still use
Store
it?
it. Store it.
It's store it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. And then when it needs to be deployed for use,
You pull it out.
it has like basically two large steel pins
Okay.
that hold it in place on the bumper.
Sure.
With braces.
And then what kind of cable does it use? Like kind of like an Anderson style cable, or
Yeah, it's basically the cable style system that you see on like the Genesis, like dual battery kit.
okay,
How they have the quick disconnect cable.
okay.
And so if you wanted to move it to
So you just plug it in, plug it out.
Yeah,
done.
like if I was to do it on
That's-
my system, I
that's
would
awesome.
probably leave a hard mounted line quick disconnect at the front bumper.
Okay.
And have a like 12-foot or 14-foot
Like an extension,
cord to click it from the front bumper to the
That
rear
makes
bumper.
total sense.
That way, if you needed rescue from the rear, you
And
could
I'm
just
looking at this
clip your winch from the front to the rear. And for an expedition
That is really
vehicle or someone who does search and rescue, or if you just go out on solo missions and you're just like out there
Yeah.
on your own and you don't have a crew to roll with, and you also want to have that peace of mind that you can rescue your vehicle from any direction.
Or if I'm
it's kind
going
of a cool
somewhere
option.
where I just don't need one.
so rad.
Right? If I'm just going to do a couple of forest roads and I know I don't need that, I can not take it with me that day. And I would have that option.
Exactly. Yeah,
Like,
your vehicle doesn't always need
It's
the extra
80
weight.
pounds lighter on the bumper
Well,
because I'm
that-
not taking this
that-
monstrosity with me all the time.
That and the fact
Yeah.
of like the fact that you can just pull it up, switch the area. I mean, there's no reason why somebody couldn't build out a bracket that
Game changer.
fits on your side rails. Your sliders.
The Pronghorn company is doing an SRS, a side rail system.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
and here's
And
the
it's,
There you
it's,
go.
it's
There
gonna
you go.
have it's gonna
Oh
have
my
an
God.
X brace underneath the vehicle that
Wow.
connects from side to side, so you could truly, if you only did a side rail system, it
Right.
would need to be truly bolted to the frame,
Sure.
not to the body,
Right.
to the frame,
Right.
And so with an X-brace system underneath, it could be used as a potential winch point if you were to get like
you were sliding or something.
on one of those snowy trails
Totally.
like Jen was driving.
There's a guy-
where you
Totally.
slide
There's a
off
company who
into
really thought
a
about
rut, and the more it's been snowing, the more the water's been melting, the
Right.
deeper that rut is on the side of the trail, and so it's like a
mean-
little tiny gradient can turn into a kind of a dangerous situation.
100%, yeah.
In certain circumstances,
I mean, I'm looking at this
an
from
easy trail goes to difficult when the weather changes.
totally from the perspective of like taking this thing and saying, even from a club or even the group of friends, right? If you all don't have to carry a winch and you can make it modular and move it to the vehicle that's best positioned.
Everybody's running those bumpers.
Yeah, and everyone's. I mean,
That
this is game
a
changing.
thought that totally crossed my mind
Oh, dude.
when Ali was talking about how well set up his vehicle is, and he's not willing to let go of that stuff quite yet.
Right.
As you travel with a group, you start
all
to
of us mostly do,
rely
right?
on certain people to carry certain gear.
Totally.
And if you are ever to plan an expedition, one vehicle is carrying camera, one vehicle is carrying recovery, one
Food.
vehicle is carrying provisions,
Yep.
one vehicle is, and
Right.
so
Oh, that's so like I've never even thought about it that way.
and so
truly
each
become a team.
Each vehicle, like a military unit, would have a subcategory
Wow.
task to
That's the next
like
trip.
uphold.
Mind
And
blown.
Then each vehicle's gross vehicle weight capacity is not being exceeded, but it's being used to
Right.
serve the community goal.
Sure.
And so each vehicle can carry their own limit and weight of either passengers or gear.
Yeah.
And each vehicle can support when all of them are together. And that's how this Camel trophy trucks used to do it, where it's like one vehicle would literally just carry the inflatables.
yeah.
And then when they got to a river, that one vehicle's inflatables would be inflated, and they would put the freaking Land Rover Discoveries onto those inflatables. They would tug them across these rivers.
Sure.
And then they'd send the inflatable across, get the next.
Do it again.
And that one vehicle.
That's so smart.
It was an entire one vehicle in the lineup. Its whole job was just to carry these rafts. But without that vehicle in the lineup, they couldn't have crossed rivers.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And they couldn't have done the journeys that like the Camel Trophy
it's brilliant.
whole series was built on if they couldn't cross rivers. And that's an amazing task, to get a vehicle to cross a river without a bridge.
Absolutely.
And that takes planning, and it's one of those things that once you go out with a group, though, it's nice when more than one vehicle is running the same tire size.
Yeah.
Because then you don't need to...
That came up on our trip. We're like, hey, we may not be able to give you another, like, what did he have, like a 35?
Marco was the only one running a 35.
And we're like, but we could put
everyone else was running 37s.
We told we could put you on 437s.
Yeah,
like we
everyone,
exactly.
Swapped out
if you were to blow another tire, we couldn't get you another 35.
Right.
But there's enough vehicles here that we could roll you out of here on 37s.
Dude, that's so you upgrade based off of
your offset would be different on every wheel, but we could get you out of here on 37s. And so it's kind of.
I love that moment.
Dude,
actually doing a trip. That's one of my favorites.
It's logic and thinking things through before you do it, but.
Dude,
you don't know what you need until you get into it.
I'm still digging this idea of like different vehicles carrying different supplies. Like it's because a lot of us do travel with the same circle, right? The same group of guys, and
why does everyone need to be carrying a high life jack?
Totally. Why do we need 5 high lift jacks?
We only need one.
Why do we need 5 recovery straps?
We don't need 5 high lift jacks.
Totally.
We need one working high lift jack. You only need certain items. You need winches when they're permanently attached to vehicles, but if they were able to be snap attached via like a bumper compatibility,
so you'll have to take one winch, and then somebody else could take that extra weight for something else.
Extra water, extra food.
Dude, this is like
at that point the winch is at least the weight of your fridge freezer.
I almost don't want to release this episode until we do this.
It's your fridge freezer fully loaded.
Yeah.
No, this is brilliant, man. This is I love it.
I think cutting weight is important too, because all the extra weight you carry is putting extra wear and tear on all the vehicle parts.
Right. Yeah, no doubt.
You can do.
Well, the vehicle chassis itself is only rated for X amount of pounds.
Exactly.
Right.
And so the gross vehicle weight.
I'm pretty sure we all exceed it.
Again, this is something I learned from Mike's podcast, the Field Craft Survival podcast. But he does talk about just your vehicle is rated for X amount of weight. And we put suspension on, which helps, and we reinforce some points, which helps, like the axles, and we upgrade our axles, which all help. But the chassis itself is designed and engineered for a specific weight, and I'm sure that the weight rating exceeds what they list.
Right.
But still,
within reason,
based off of like the kind of trails that we run, the amount of stresses and the forces that get applied to the vehicle, where the weight of the vehicle itself is compounded based off of like the bouncing or the way that the trail is.
You're coming down a 45-degree incline with all of the vehicle weight, all 6,000 plus pounds, on just the front left corner. As you crank the wheel driver, it's just like, okay, now all of the wheel is most of the weight is on one corner,
and that's when you snap your axle.
And I'm pulling on the drag link and the pitman arm to push my steering wheel driver. So it's like
and it might be good.
It's a little bit
like Jeep goes trail. They call it trail rated, right? Because they go out to the Rubicon and they'll run the Rubicon on that trail, and it'll succeed and do everything it needs to do with one driver.
Not without damage. Like they do take damage.
Yeah, they take damage for sure. But
I also
with
think
a driver. But hang on, it's a driver, but not all this weight.
That's what I'm saying.
Gets added.
They're doing what he said. They have one guy doing the vehicle as doing the Rubicon, the one they're testing, and then they have a support crew carrying all the other crap.
Sure, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's not weighted, like you said, it's not weighted the way that we do it, or we would do it, right?
Or some of us do it like
ourselves.
me, like it's way overweight.
Yeah.
I know right now that my rig is beyond where it kind of should be. Yeah. That's just a fact.
Yeah, but you can always remove weight.
No! Don't come to me, Kondo. I'm not ready for you yet.
Kondo's coming.
Kondo's coming, bro.
It's gonna be a winter is coming take on this.
We're gonna wake up and Kondo's gonna be staring at me,
and we're gonna get sued by Netflix. Kondo is coming.
All right, so we are, man. That went by so fast.
It went by super
and
fast.
I could definitely see another episode. I mean,
We're
I don't
gonna
even
have
feel
to-
like we fully like delved into
All we
Eric.
did was scratch the surface
Scratch
and
the
get to
surface
know Eric.
of Eric.
That's it.
We
just got to
some
know him a little bit.
amazing information.
Yeah.
We actually got some useful information.
Totally.
Which is, we killed that bottle of Glenlivet, which has seen some really cool trails. Actually, when we opened it was on that Mojave Road.
Those are good times.
And now
This is good times.
we emptied it, so it's kind of fitting.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'm so glad you had nothing interesting to say. Like, you were so worried, and you're so right to be worried because God, everyone
As nervous as he
everyone
was.
listening right now is just like, wow, why did you bring this guy on? Like, it was just
His gut was
an
right.
hour of silence.
His
Yeah.
gut was right. He should have
Yeah.
just not done
That's
it.
why I was worried.
No, dude, this was.
Instead, we got Marie Kondo and all the other goodness.
Hey, we've been like
Kondo is coming.
So when we first started, we had
Coming for
an
your rig.
outline. Now we're just kind of, I wouldn't call it winging it because we have an idea of what we want to do, but it's been flowing a lot better. And I knock
Sure.
on wood. and
Experience, yeah.
It's just been so good. And I love having like Eric on and what we did with John and Tony.
Yeah,
It's proving to me that there's good value. And I know like I'll listen to like Joe Rogan's podcast and he has like really interesting people on and there's a reason for it, like
Right.
you get these other experiences and you get these other perspectives.
Your
that
perspectives,
People are
other
going to be sick of us within
experiences and comments. Yeah, absolutely.
if it was 5 episodes of just me and you, I think we would have been done. I think that would have been it. Cool
Yeah.
project and move on. But that does bring us to the end of this episode.
Yeah. I think with that said, I completely 100% agree, and I'm looking forward to continuing this project with more people.
Yeah, no,
So,
totally. So let's pay some bills.
So on that note, yeah,
Hey,
let's
Eric,
pay some bills.
Thank you so much for being on here. Like, it was a total joy.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for
brother.
Hey, thank you guys so much. And
Yeah.
I'll see you guys on the trail
All right.
soon.
You get back to the fire. It's kind of cold in the middle here.
Yeah.
Kondo is coming.
Kondo's
Kondo's coming. She's coming for your rig, bro. Be scared.
So let's pay bills.
All right. So, huge shout out and thanks to Rig Supply.
Total.
RIGD.com. Sorry,
RIGDsupply.com.
Yep. Check them out. Their gear is always evolving. They're always adding different attachments and lineups and things that you can benefit from for your overlanding adventures.
Yep.
We talk about the universal swing, tire swing attachment, and the cool thing that we don't talk about that much is that it's not just stuff they make, right? For example, that you can have Rego fabrication attachments that
Right.
they've customized.
They
to fit.
made it modular. Yeah.
Yeah, they've made it very modular, and they understand that, a lot of like what we just talked about, right? Sometimes the best experience and information comes from outside.
Right.
And so, props to them for coming up with that and willing to work with other
just
fabricators.
Solid dudes. It sounds like I'm name dropping, but it's not. It's just I happen to be friends with these people, and so, I know them, and so like Luke, just good dude, passionate. Just had a kid. I just want to see him succeed, and he's just making it, and it's so cool to see that when you have good people in your life and you see them doing well, it
100%.
makes you happy for them. And he's doing well because he's making a great product.
Right.
And him and his partner Jason, they're just doing a really good job at meeting a demand that's out there. They found a problem and they made a solution, and it's working.
And it's a lot of like what we talked about exactly in this podcast, right? It's practical solutions based on experience
And
and modular, right?
Yep.
So they're going out there and they're doing a lot of this stuff, and they're finding what annoyances they find on the trail.
Sure.
A perfect example is the anti-wobble,
Right, the anti-wobble hitch extension. Yep.
Totally. And so it's like you've got to respect that, and you've got to appreciate that from
Yeah, I got mine coming in.
from a user. Nice.
Yeah.
Good job. So guys, go out, get yours. Check them out. RigSupply.com. Awesome company. Awesome guys doing awesome things.
Yep. And then if you find it dark out there, I would
Does the offer still stand?
well, dude, just DM me. Actually, I don't know if our episode from last time went live yet.
It hasn't gone live
at
yet.
this point, because I still owe you a summary.
It
Right?
hasn't gone live yet. You're
Yeah,
right.
but as I said on the last episode, DM me on Instagram, Kate the Jeep. I will get you a
A
discount
killer deal. Yeah, a deal.
on
Absolutely.
KC highlights, and we'll set you up. We'll hook you up, and we will make it so that it's a little easier to get in. They're already cheap. They're amazing lights.
Amazing
And
lights.
I'm not calling them cheap. Quality. The quality is amazing.
Yeah.
The price is just right. So, whether you're coming to me and getting a discount or you're just buying them, you're not going to be disappointed.
Not going to be
You're
disappointed.
gonna be stoked.
Oh, Eric has KC lights.
Yeah, you got KC on yours. Yeah.
So stoked.
Yep.
I've been building this rig for just over 3 years.
Yeah.
And changing from the bar style light to the Gravity Pro 6.
Yep. We all got those.
Yeah, we do
Dude.
actually all
Pro
have
6
those.
Mafia. Yeah.
It updated the look of the truck.
Oh, I
honestly.
love the
Oh, I
look
know.
of
It
the Pro
just
6s,
updated
man.
the look of the truck.
Yeah.
I don't know why
It's that old school daylight or
the-
something.
yeah.
I don't know the
Yeah.
the bar style light what looked new for a while, and then I guess what's old is new again.
Yeah.
But the
Way old.
I love
dude,
it.
the legacy look.
Love it.
with the new complex reflector LED technology.
Yep.
Super. It looks cool on the rig, and
Yeah.
I don't know. It makes it fun to take pictures of the rig again.
Yeah, the whole Gravity series of lights, whether it's your headlights, your A-pillar lights, or the light
As
bar.
soon as I did the light bar, I ordered the A-pillar light. They're not installed yet, but
Nice.
hint, hint.
Right,
Yeah,
it's coming.
It's coming. There's actually some
hashtag soon.
check
cool
the
things
American
coming for-
Overland Instagram next week before I go to Baja.
Yep,
They'll
American
be on.
Overland.
All right. On that note, thanks, guys. Thanks for listening, and the feedback that we've getting has been phenomenal.
Yeah, thanks. I'm glad you guys like it. Shit.
Yeah, remember,
Surprise, surprise.
please to go ahead and
Give us a rate.
whatever you're listening on. Yeah, please rate us.
Shout
whether
us
it's
out.
iTunes, Google Play,
Yeah,
Stitcher,
please.
whatever. Go ahead and drop those 5 stars if you think we're worth it. Don't forget to visit us on Instagram at rigged4dirt and our website riggedfordirt.com.
And you can find Frank at Trucky McTruckface.
And
Oh,
Ollie-
wait, how do you spell that?
Oh, Trucky with a Y underscore McTruckface.
Underscore. That underscore got me.
Yeah, Trucky underscore McTruckface.
And then Ali
At
signing
Kate the
off.
Jeep.
Kate
Yeah.
the Jeep.
And
Eric.
American Overland.
Eric, thanks, bro.
Thanks, guys.
Later, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.